As protests continue across the country since George Floyd's death, calls for police to change their ways grow louder. A former convict turned advocate for criminal justice reform joins us tonight to lend her perspective. Alice Marie Johnson was granted clemency by President Donald Trump after spending 21 years of a life sentence in prison for her role in a drug trafficking ring. And Alice, first, what are your thoughts on the ongoing protests, especially with tensions heightened even more by the police shooting death of Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta over the weekend?
Well, Christine, I truly believe in being able to have your voices out there. So the protests, I'm in agreement with those, but the violence, I just cannot condone that. I do know that we do need some reforms in policing. So I'm all for that too. I There are some really good police officers out there. They're not. I just don't like seeing the labels put on this negative label that's put on all police who have been charged with uh, protecting us in our communities. But there definitely needs to be reforms.
Well, protesters have started a defund the police movement, and police departments around the country are looking at reforms. Here in New York, Governor Cuomo is giving the more than 500 departments around the state until April 1st to come up with a plan. What are some of the reforms you'd like to see when it comes to the police?
Well, I think we need more transparency for sure. I think people need to feel that if they do have a complaint, that their voices are heard. And so there needs to be some type of system, Christine, I believe, in place where the community can have a safe place to report, police that are not doing the right thing. And that I think that will make them feel better about that. We need more police involvement in communities. Some communities are doing an excellent job with that, but we've really got to change the way that we view the role of police officers. So I'm that's a part also of what I'm involved in criminal justice reform, because policing every phase of the arrest is things that I'm involved in right now. So I'm having a lot of dialogues with not only the people who've been impacted, but police are coming into these dialogues too. We've all got to be able to sit down at the table. My mother used to say, out of everything bad, something good can come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly found that in my own situation, that something good came out of a bad situation.
Right, exactly. And now, switching gears a little bit to prevent the spread of coronavirus, since March, some inmates at New York City's Rikers Island were released. According to the New York Post, some 10% have since been arrested, some multiple times. And because of bail reform, they're being re-released. So the paper reports out of the roughly 2,500 inmates let go, 250 have allegedly committed nearly 450 new crimes. Your thoughts on the COVID-19 release and bail reform that's keeping alleged criminals on the streets instead of held in jail? What do you think of those?
Well, I think that the number one thing in releasing anyone, of course, their safety is very important, but the safety of the community is equally as important.
Mhm.
And they just got to do a really good job of looking at those who have the potential to reoffend, to commit, because there is strategies in place to look at those who are nonviolent and who have had no violence in prison. There's criteria out there. You can't just mass release everyone because of the pandemic. And I would hope that they're doing a good job. I know on the federal level, they're making sure that the ones who they release are very low risk and are not a safety concern. We have to put safety, health and safety must go together.
Mhm. What do you think about the bail reform, though? Because a lot of these people were nonviolent offenders, and they were released out to allegedly burglarize a store or, allegedly rob a hotel room. But then with bail reform, they're just put back on the street. What do you think about bail reform?
Well, in terms of bail reform, Christine, you have to think about when people are arrested, they can have a small bail. They can have a $500 bail, $50, they're back on the streets anyway.
Right.
So I don't think this is just a bail reform issue. I think it's an issue of identifying those who pose a risk to their communities.
All right, Alice Marie Johnson, a criminal justice reform advocate. Thanks so much for giving us your perspective.
Thank you for having me on today.
If you're watching Currents News on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then click on the bell to get instant updates about all of our newest content, because we are putting your faith in the news.